Welcome to the Create and Grow Show. I'm your host, Georgi Todorov, and today we have Lien De Pau as our guest. She is a serial entrepreneur, angel investor, best-selling author, and also author on Forbes about small business strategy. Hi, Lynn.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you for being a guest on the Create and Grow Show. How are you doing today?
I am doing very well, and I'm excited for this conversation to happen. I can't wait for us to talk a little bit more about online businesses and small business strategies. So I'm looking forward to the show.
Amazing. Let's get started. Let's dive in. Tell our listeners about your experience growing and selling online businesses.
Yeah, I've been in the space of online businesses for more than a decade now. Maybe some of your readers remember this or listeners remember this, but there's a book called The 4 Hour Work Week, which I
Yeah, I
think
think
had
it inspired many people.
it inspired many people and it also inspired me. I read it more than a decade ago. And I was already running my own consultancy business at the time, working B2B for big corporations. And when I read that book, I immediately realized, well, two things. First of all, I realized, oh my God, I've got this business building thing all wrong.
Yeah,
There's a very different way of doing business, and it's in the online space, and it's reaping all the benefits of the internet, which was still brand new for businesses. And that made me move into the online business space. I converted my offline consulting business into an online business and reiterated a couple of my businesses over time. But that's how I got into it. It was reading the 4 Hour Work Week and coming to realize that there was a very different way of doing business that was online and would help me to reach out to a more global audience. It could also help me to um, use a lot of the smaller business software that came out about a decade ago that could help me to automate things and streamline things in my business. So for me, it was a really big turnaround point, and I 100% transitioned into having an online business rather than an offline business, and I never looked back since.
great. And you left your corporate job and you used your existing skills to start your consulting business.
Correct. So I had a corporate job. At that time, I was already doing like internal consulting work on process excellence and optimization and lean and things like that. And at some point, the opportunity came for me to do that as an independent consultant slash freelancer. And I took that opportunity.
Hmm.
And that's kind of how I got into business. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about online businesses at all. But I took the leap, started freelancing, and then made the switch to becoming an entrepreneur, and then made the switch to becoming an online entrepreneur.
Great. It sounds like an accident that the opportunity came to you. You didn't actively seek clients, or what's happened?
Yeah, I didn't. I think quite a while ago, I we were supporting a PhD student on the reasons why people become entrepreneurs, and some of them do that out of an opportunity that they see in the market. It's those people who are like, "Why has no one solved this before?" and they become entrepreneurs solving that problem. And other people become entrepreneurs out of necessity, so they're necessity driven. And I think I was more necessity driven in that sense that like I felt a little bit discontent with being in a 9 to 5 job. I felt I wasn't fully using all of my skills, and I wanted to develop myself probably faster than the pace a corporate business could offer me. So, out of that necessity, I became an entrepreneur. But I literally started from nothing in the sense that I had certain skills and I thought I could sell these skills myself rather than through somebody else's business. And that's how I got started. I didn't know anything about business. All I had was something that I was skillful in and was hoping clients would pay me for.
Hmm. And it turned out well. You got many clients and you started your consultancy business.
It did, yeah. It took off quite well. And then I went through a dip in like 6 or 12 months being independent. And that's when I kind of had to learn about marketing and sales and things like that because I didn't know anything about it. And then the business really took off and we grew quite quick. I think in the first year and a half, we did like 200,000 in revenue. And then the team grew really quick. I had so much work that I needed help from employees and freelancers to do client work for the business. So it grew really quickly, really fast, and I was definitely not ready for that or prepared for that or knew actually what was happening. It was a really big roller coaster.
Yeah, it sounds like yesterday you were a freelancer, and a couple of months later, you got so many clients, employees that you just couldn't handle so much work.
It kind of happened like that. And if you would ask me why it happened like that, I don't really know. But I think I was um, nervous about not finding enough work. So I just went out there and literally spoke to anybody and everybody through any kind of channels that I could think of who could potentially offer work. And then quite a lot of these leads converted. I had a quite a unique and niche kind of a skill set, and I think that helped as well. I think for a lot of freelancers who struggle in the first couple of years in business, and through one of my online businesses, I've guided more than 1,400 freelancers during those years. And I think what they struggle with most is they're not niche enough. Like they don't have a really specific detailed expertise for a specific market. And I think that makes it harder because you have more competition. So, one of the things looking at it backwards, because I didn't realize it at the time as a freelancer, but when I look at it backwards, what I do realize is that my skills were quite niche. And the clients I was targeting was quite niche as well. And I think that helped me to get the word out and get deals. But I didn't realize that at the time when it was happening. It's only when looking at it backwards that's when we learn, right? When we look backwards and we
Yeah.
think, why did that work? And I think it worked because of the niche in skills and the niche of clients or ideal clients that I was targeting.
What I like about your story is that you left your corporate job and you used your existing skills to build your new business. Because many of the people say, "Oh, I lack skills. I need to take a few courses." But actually, everybody has some skills that can use right now to start and learn in the process.
100%. I think there's when we talk about skills, there's two things. I think most people 100% of the people who have a corporate job or a 9 to 5 job, they don't have business skills, right? Unless maybe you had a little side hustle at some point in your life. But at least for me, like I didn't know anything about business. I didn't have any business skills. I didn't have a business degree. I didn't know anything about sales and marketing. The only skills that I had were skills that could help somebody else achieve something. And those skills, we all have those skills because even when you do a 9 to 5 job, there's things that you do that help other people. They help your boss, or they help your clients, or they help your colleagues. So you have certain skills that help other people. So those skills, you can apply them for a boss and another business you work for, or you can build your own business around that. Obviously, what you then need to learn slowly or quickly or with other courses or whatever is the business part of those skills, because skills alone don't build a business. Because you need clients and you need to know stuff about money and how you charge for things and how you set your pricing and how you do marketing and stuff like that. But I learned these things along the way. That being said, though, I learned these things along the way because there weren't that many resources out there 15 years ago, which is different right now. I think there's so much more support for small business entrepreneurs or for people who start freelancing. There's a lot of support out there, free and paying, that can help you to learn these business skills quicker and probably more successfully than the way I learned this was by doing. I tried things and I learned the hard way and probably also the slow way. So I'm really happy to see that nowadays there's so much more support for people who have skills but don't know anything about business to learn the business part of that.
Absolutely. I feel the same about SEO actually. 10 years
Hmm.
ago, there were very little information, uh, just a few forums, a few Facebook groups about SEO. And when you ask a question there, you get laughed at or they give you different opinions. And at the end, you are more misguided than before. You just don't know what to do. But nowadays, there are communities, groups, and you can get guidance and you can get started.
100%. And that's so amazing about the online space that we are in, because we used to, it was so much harder before to find these communities as well, because basically they were not existing. And if you wanted to become a part of a business community, you had to go to like a local event where all kinds of entrepreneurs were there, right? Like I remember the first business events that I went to 15 years ago. For one, I was often the only woman there. That's a whole other story. But there were all sorts of entrepreneurs. There were butchers there and people who had a car garage. And there were not that many, but a few online entrepreneurs there as well. And I think nowadays it's so much easier to find your community and find your tribe online and get the support that you need to kind of fast track your process and probably avoid some of the expensive mistakes, also as a freelancer, as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, definitely. Tell me more about the business that you started after you left your corporate job. What's happened with it later?
Yeah, so the business that I started was a classical consulting business. We were advising, or I was advising through projects that were tailor made. I was advising bigger corporate clients on how to be more efficient with how they were running their processes and their work. And that grew really, really quickly. I had so many projects to do, I couldn't do them myself anymore. So I had to hire employees and freelancers to help me do the client work. And it became so big that after a while, I realized I actually got into freelancing because of the freedom. And I came to realize there wasn't that much freedom
Yeah,
in the way that I had built this. I call it a monster now when I look back on it. A lot of people thought it was a really successful business, but to me, it was a monster because it became so big so quickly. And that's when I read the 4 Hour Work Week. And I came to realize that running an offline consulting business was never going to give me the scalability and the freedom that I was actually looking for when I became a freelancer, basically, or independent. So that's kind of how I then transitioned into thinking of business models that were more scalable, more online. How can I help my clients in a scalable way rather than me selling time to them? And that's kind of like how I transitioned into the online business space.
and what was the next business that you started after
That's
the
a great
consulting?
question, because I think for a lot of people, it looks on the outside that I transitioned into running an online business school in Belgium that became like it became the first online business school in Belgium and the biggest network of online entrepreneurs in Belgium. But it wasn't an from A to B scenario because in between, I experimented with a lot of different online businesses to try to figure out what it is that I really liked and enjoyed. And I didn't at the time realized I had specific professional educational skills that I could use in the online space. So I tried first with, I had a travel blog that it taught me a lot about online marketing and writing content and things like that. I had that, I monetized it, but it never really gotten to a point where I felt like this could be more than just a side hustle. I also had a drop shipping business. So I experimented with that, but then I came to realize I didn't really want to sell material things because
Mm,
I'm a minimalist at heart.
yeah.
So it didn't feel aligned for me to do something like that, although I could see how that could work, but I didn't want to sell stuff. And then I got back to my first love, which has always been some form of education consulting coaching work. And that brought me back into that field, but from an online course um, point of view, rather than going to my clients' offices and then doing workshops or giving one-to-one advice and things like that. So for a lot of people, it looked like I jumped from having an offline consulting business to an online business school, but there was about 3 to 4 years of experimenting with what do I like doing? What do I value? What do clients want to pay for? And what is my unique skill set? And I think this is one of the things that I see a lot of freelancers or people who move into the space of entrepreneurship forget to do is finding, I call it a zone of freedom. It's like this unique combination of your unique skills and talents in combination with what is the market looking for, what is a need within the market, and what are clients willing to pay for. And I think if you combine these three things, that's where your own unique, I call it a zone of freedom, lies. And it might take a couple of months, or even for me it was years. It took me 4 years to figure out that unique combination of those three things. But once you find out what that combination is of your unique skills with what clients are looking for or needing and are willing to pay for, once you find that, you're in business. Like then everything else becomes easy. Marketing becomes easy. Sales becomes easy. Creating an offer becomes really easy. So I'm getting a little bit sidetracked from your question, but that's been my
Oh,
experience.
that's fine. Actually, I was thinking, uh, is there a process to find those three things for someone who is just starting?
Well, there actually is a process. And guess what? That's the thing that we are selling in one of our online courses. It's the, we have we call the Freedompreneur Institute here in Belgium, and we teach freelancers to become freedompreneurs and how to do that. And a lot of courses focus on what's the scalable offer that you should be building, right? Like, should you make an online course or a membership site or sell templates or, like things like that. But what a lot of courses forget to do is to help a freelancer figure out their own unique zone of freedom. And over, I think it's now 7 years already, we have crafted our own proprietary framework to help freelancers figure out exactly that. Because I call it the golden egg. It's like finding that golden egg. Once you have the golden egg, you can lay as many as you want.
Yeah.
But finding that is a matter of doing a couple of steps, and they're not massively complicated, but they take a little bit of time and thoughtfulness and strategy that goes in that, but there's a methodology that you can take and that you can follow to figure out your unique zone of freedom.
Yeah, makes sense. I've been reading your Forbes articles where you write about building and selling an online business, and I wanted to ask you, what is when is the right time to sell your business?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I get this question asked all the time. Like there's three questions people ask me all the time, and it's like, what makes my business valuable? What makes my business sellable? And when is a good time to sell? And if you're looking at the best time to sell, there's actually three things that go into play with that. It's the general macroeconomics. It's like, what's the market doing right now? It's harder to sell a business in a recession than it is when things are up. So that's one thing. You can't influence the market. You can be aware of it, but you can't influence it. So it's kind of like it's a tidal wave and you just have to roll with it. There's not much you can change about that. Um, so there's the market part that goes into it. And there's also the part I think that is really important is like, how do you feel about your business? This is often forgotten, but to me, the best time to sell a business is, well, I'll tell you what is not the best time to sell your business. That is when you feel like you had enough of it, because by the time you feel you have enough of it, it's probably already in a decline, and it's harder to sell a business that is in a decline. Um, but your personal feelings matter. Do you feel like you want to, maybe pick up another project? Do you feel like it's time to move on and do something else? Do you feel like you can't play to your strengths anymore with this business? There's a lot of personal reasons that are very valid reasons, and you should listen to them because they are an indicator for timing the exit of your business. And I think a lot of people forget that. They look at the market and they look at how their business is doing, and then decide kind of if they're going to sell, or maybe they just feel like they want to retire and they're selling. But I find the personal feelings that you have towards your business will, I wouldn't say make or break your opportunity to sell your business, but they are very, very important. Um, if you're going through the process of selling your business, how do you feel about your business? Because in the end, you still need to sell it to whoever is going to buy it. And if you're hating your business, and some people do, and they have hated their business for a very long time, it's really hard to convince somebody else that this is the best thing since sliced bread and they should buy your
Yeah,
business,
or you'll
right?
sell it for less than possible.
So I think, like, what's the good time to sell a business? It's partially market, it's partially how your business is doing. And thirdly, and I think underestimated, is how are you feeling about your business?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Okay, I wanted to ask you, how did you become an author on Forbes?
I get this question asked a lot.
I
Uh,
hope so, yeah.
yeah, it's a great question. I'll tell you my experience because I'm not 100% sure if this is the one way to become a Forbes contributor. There might be different ways, but this is the way that I have gone through the process. One of my friends is a Forbes contributor, senior contributor, for a couple of years already. And she contacted her network saying Forbes is looking for new contributors. So if you're interested, here's this process that you can go through and apply. Um, and I started the procedure. There were a lot of things to create, and a lot of information to be given. And then basically Forbes does a couple of things. They wanted me to write an article, not for publication, but just for them to see if I am a good writer based upon me telling them I have been blogging before, I'm a best-selling author, like I have a lot of writer's experience. So I had to create a piece of content for them. I had to do an interview with them. That's one. And then, or second thing. And then the third thing was they did quite a heavy due diligence on how do I fit as a contributor into all the other contributors on Forbes, because what they want to avoid is that you write around what they call a swim lane, which is your unique thing that you write about, is that in your swim lane, you are not competing with anybody else.
Hmm.
So that's part of the due diligence as well. So if you ever want to become a Forbes contributor, I think what helps is having a lot of writing experience already that you can prove. So maybe you've written like a bestseller book like I did, or you have been blogging for many years, or there's just a lot of writing experience that you have. That's one thing. And secondly is like, what's your unique take on a specific topic? You can't just write about SEO, for example, or you can't just write about entrepreneurship. You can't just write about small business strategies. Like there's just a lot of niche. And this is what I learned from being an entrepreneur many years ago, is being able to craft your niche can set you apart from everybody else. And I think if you want to write for an acclaimed publication like Forbes, you'll have to figure out your own little unique niche, which they call a swim lane, in order for you to be able to write for them, because they don't want you to compete with all the other contributors on Forbes, obviously.
That makes sense, Lynn. And let's say once again, everything gets started with one invitation. You can't be proactive here, but somebody has to invite you.
That's at least my experience, yes. And for as far as I know, it doesn't go by you pushing to become a contributor, but kind of you being asked, or there needs to be an opportunity to do that. Yeah. But I think most of your listeners probably are from the entrepreneurial kind. And, I think we, as entrepreneurs, we all experience this, that the biggest opportunities that we get in life are the ones that we that we can see.
Mhm.
And this is exactly what happened with Forbes as well. It passed within my network. I saw the opportunity and I grabbed it. And I think that's with everything that goes in entrepreneurship, is seeing when there's a really big opportunity that you could grasp and you are uniquely positioned to take that opportunity. I think that's what sets every successful entrepreneur apart.
Sounds great. Position yourself for success and grab the opportunity when it knocks.
100%.
This leads me to my next question. You mentioned that you are a best selling book author. How did you achieve that?
Great question. By accident.
By accident, great.
It's a self-published book. So let me say that first. So I didn't use traditional publishing. We can make a whole podcast around why self-publish, or why go for a publisher. At the time, there were a couple of things. I wanted to write a book. This was back in 2017 that it published. I wanted to write a book that was timeless. I wanted to write a book that could last for a decade. That was my main intention. And the book is all about freedompreneurship. It's about it's a practical guide on how to live it up in life, basically. So it's very timeless. People still buy it. It's been released 7 years ago, and still people buy it, which is absolutely amazing. And it became a bestseller because I launched it in a very active network that I had been nurturing for a couple of years at the time. And I think this is one of the things that people forget that I love to stretch often, because when I look at um, the things that I did that ended up relatively big successes, it has all been because of the people that I knew and the network that I had and the engagement that I had from that network, whether that's finding new clients and doing really big launches to becoming a bestseller author. It's all really thanks to the people that I have been building around me for so many years, and they were the ones that bought the book in the thousands, and that made it one of an amazingly best-selling book. Really, looking at it backwards, it was all about leveraging network, really, on how to do that.
Great. Let's talk numbers about this book. Uh, what language was the book on? And the category was entrepreneurship. How many
Yeah. So
copies
the
did you sell to become a top selling book?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things, because I think you are referring to becoming an Amazon bestseller, and I
Yeah,
can
I
I can talk.
assume that because you mentioned self published, and I thought that you published there.
I have not, because it's a Dutch speaking. It's a Dutch book, although it's translated in English and you can buy it on Amazon. I never properly launched that book in English, so I can only speak for the Dutch speaking market specifically, which I don't think is very interesting maybe to your audience of listeners. Now, becoming a Amazon bestseller writer, there are a couple of things that you can do, and um, I've never said this, so you can beep it out, but you can buy your way into becoming an Amazon bestseller.
You can buy your books.
Well, you could do that, but there's ways on how to approach the Amazon algorithm to
Mhm.
become a bestseller author on Amazon, even if it's just for 24 hours. So, a lot of um, Amazon bestseller books, or people who use that status for marketing purposes, they kind of hacked the algorithm with the help often of people who help them do that. They hack the algorithm to become a bestseller within a very small time frame. So Amazon kind of looks at, I think it's a 24-hour time slot. And if you sell a lot of books in those 24 hours, even if you sell them for free,
Yeah.
if you do that, then you become a bestseller author in those 24 hours and you get the mark that you are. And then maybe the next day you're never selling any other book ever again, but basically you got the bestseller author status. So that's kind of how that goes. But I'm not really sure if I should be sharing this information. Maybe Amazon will ban me for the rest of my
Oh,
life.
I think this is a well known truth, and many are commenting on that.
Okay.
So it's not really a problem. But can we speak a little bit more about another topic, angel investing? I noticed that you are sharing information on that topic and LinkedIn posts. What exactly you are doing there? You're investing in other online businesses, or what is your role?
Yeah. So I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years now, almost 15 years. And I think there's different journeys or maturity levels you go through as an entrepreneur. So I started as a freelancer and then became an entrepreneur and then became a serial entrepreneur. And I came to realize over the course of the last 3 to 4 years that as an entrepreneur, your biggest bet that you make is on your own business, which is great. I mean, if you believe in yourself and your skills and the niche that you've crafted and the offer that you have, it's an amazing investment to make, but it's a risky investment. And if you know a little bit about investing, it's all about spreading risks, right?
Yeah.
It's like don't bet on one horse, but bet on multiple horses. And when I started to dive into this a little bit more, I came to understand as a business owner, I'm betting on just one horse, which is me. Right? I'm the horse. I'm the horse that needs to get to the end of the game. And I came to realize it's kind of it's that's risky. That's one thing. Secondly, there are a lot of amazing people doing really amazing things out there in the world that need that little bit of financial support to get them to the next level. And I have been one of them. Like I have had 4 angel investments over the course of my decade as an entrepreneur. So I can only testify that that little push, that little or bigger check that an angel investing is writing for you as an entrepreneur can help you jump faster to that next level. And that's how I got into angel investing. It was partly like I don't want to just be betting on myself anymore. So I want to kind of spread my risks. That's one thing. And also knowing that um, you can make a really big difference as an angel investor, both for the entrepreneurial team that you are investing in. That's one thing, but also for the world. I truly believe in putting your money where your mouth is.
Mm,
And I have a very clear vision on how I hope the world will look like in 10, 20, or 30 years from now. And I feel angel investing is an opportunity for me to create that world beyond me doing the business.
yeah,
Because there's other people who are doing really amazing things that are 100% aligned with how I hope the world's going to look like in a couple of decades from now. And being able to support that vision through these entrepreneurs as an angel investor, I think more successful entrepreneurs should do that, and use their money to make a change.
great. Last question, because we are approaching the end of today's episode. As far as I know, you are a digital nomad, and I guess that this has some benefits on your business. Maybe not direct benefits, but you tell me what benefits you got from that.
Yeah, I wouldn't label myself anymore as a digital nomad, I would say, but
Let's say
probably by
semi
the
nomad.
classical definition of being a digital nomad, I probably am one. Um, I mean, I have always liked the idea of my business being in my computer. And as long as I have my computer and I have internet, I can rule the world, basically. So that's been always one of the things that I thought were really amazing about having an online business is being able to work from anywhere and everywhere. And I've lived in a lot of countries. I traveled to a lot of countries as well. I've built businesses whilst backpacking in South America, and I've launched businesses whilst I was in Southeast Asia. Like I have always loved the idea of being able to work and make money wherever I am in the world. So I think that's one of the benefits of being a digital nomad. On top of that, and I think a lot of people forget this, but because your business allows you to be in different places in the world and connect with different audiences across the world, you see much more opportunities for great businesses, because you're outside of your regular and you see what other people are struggling with in other places in the world. So it really opens up um, the amount of opportunities that are there in the world. And maybe there might be one that you can take and build a business around it. And I think that's one of the really big benefits of doing that. being a digital nomad. On top of that, there's a lot of amazing, talented people that you get to meet when you are outside of your local community who can help you with making your life better, making your business better, who are super knowledgeable in, like making your business a better business or whatever. So there's so many benefits on being able to have a business that allows you to work from everywhere. It's the personal benefit of maybe you like to be, in the sun in wintertime and escape northern European winters or something like that. There's a huge personal benefit in doing that. But there's also the benefit of finding new business ideas because you're in a different place, and finding amazing people that can help you with stuff that you need help with. And that is something that I think a lot of people overlook when they're thinking about, remote work or being a digital nomad or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Lynn, thank you so much for being a guest on the Create and Grow show. I wanted to give you the opportunity to mention what you are working on right now, your courses, and everything else that I will leave the links in the show notes so people can check your work.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, the thing that I'm selling in pre-sale by the 1st of June of, I'll say 2024, because I don't know how long people will be listening to this episode. But on the 1st of June 2024, we are in pre-sale launching or releasing one of our flagship courses with the big exit. And this course is specifically for small business owners who are thinking of selling their business in the next 1 to 3 years and are basically looking for answers to three questions. One is my business sellable? How do I make it more sellable? How do I make it more valuable? What's the value of my business right now? How do I find buyers to sell my business to? So, if you are listening to this episode and you are a small business owner thinking of selling your business in the next couple of years because maybe you're retiring, or maybe you want to create another masterpiece, or maybe you're kind of feeling like you might get a little bit tired of this business. If you're wondering, like, can I sell this business? And if I can, what's it worth? And how do I go about selling it? Then this course is definitely for you. So go and have a look. We're releasing it on the 1st of June, 2024, and I'm hoping to welcome you there.
Thebigexit.co small business selling.
Correct. Put the link in the show notes, and
Of
then
course.
everybody can go and have a look and buy the course. It will be released on the 1st of June, 2024.
Great. Thanks again, Lynn, and I will send you the episode when it's ready.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to share it with my audience as well.
Where people can follow you on
The best
LinkedIn.
place to follow me is on LinkedIn. So feel free to add those to the show notes as well. My personal profile, LinkedIn, that's the place where I'm the most active. So if you reach out to me through DM on LinkedIn or you give me a follow there, I share a lot of stuff around small business strategy and how to build, grow, scale, and exit a small business. So if that's a topic you're interested in, give me a follow on LinkedIn or send me a DM over there as well.
Amazing. That was Lien De Pau from the Big Exit. Thank you, Lynn. Have a good day. Bye
Thank you
bye.
so much.